ahead, girl. This is when love was good. This is when it was real. It wasn't fabricated. There was no Tinder. There was no Bumble. There was no slut walks. It's the good old days.
The good old days.
When love was love.
When love was love. Why can't love still be love?
It can be. Can be.
Why? Why do they break up?
Because y'all are savages. You know what I mean?
Why I gotta be just us? Thought there was two people in a relationship. What you, baby?
Song's ahead of his time. Hey.
What? Break it down now.
Yeah, when love was good.
Love is still good.
It's okay. Try to focus on me.
So you're just not ready for love. That's a difference.
Ready for love.
That's a difference.
I think, what does that even mean? So like, I think everyone is always, you can be ready to be loved on. However, I do think that like, you know, it's way more difficult when we have way more options.
True.
It's way more difficult when we have way more options, and you have the switch of the understanding of the difference in gender roles.
Okay.
When you have the proliferation of this equal between men and women, right? Like compounded by, you know, people that look like us were often raised without a strong man in the household.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a breeding of you know, aggressive women, which lacks the femininity that attracts us. Yeah, aggressive men too has made aggressive men as well, but I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about those which I'm attracted to.
Right.
That lack, you know, moral standards that a two-parent household is way more equipped to do than a one-parent household. A lot of times, just based off of time, availability of time.
Okay.
So within that, you know, we get this kind of breakdown of what love truly and should be, because a component of that is not seeing it enacted within the household. So when you don't see it, you don't have good examples of it. You look at TV and you see the bullshit that's purported, right? You see the Love and Hip Hops and they think that that's the normal. They think that drama's the normal. Yeah, like or drama's the normal, and the back and forth, and the feeling of it's not a good love unless there's arguments, and there's like, I'm in the right mind of thinking like yeah, you should be tested to see how far that you can go with that person, to see like when their backs up against the wall, like how do they really react? But that shouldn't be the norm.
No.
The norm shouldn't be drama and bullshit and arguing, and right? It should be focusing on bettering yourself and your situation, and uplifting those around you to be the best that they can possibly be.
Yes.
I hate when I see examples of folks that look like us that don't do that. That they don't do that. They have a crab in a barrel mentality, you know, and they hate to see people succeeding beyond them because they have only reached a certain level, right? And this, you know, it's often, you know, a lot of this relationship healing shit is synonymous with where we are as a culture sometimes as well too. Like you can't necessarily point the finger outwards, all the time.
Okay.
Like, let me give you a quick example.
Yeah.
My whole problem with the Black Lives Matter shit.
Okay.
I know we're going off.
I was like, oh, wait, where are we
going? We're going. My whole problem is that there's when it's black on black crime, you don't hear shit. You don't hear anything. I know that it's good to put pressure on those that don't look like us because of perceived injustices, and in fact it can feel exponentially more disrespectful when it's a person of authority, right? A police officer, for example. But there's not riots in the street when it's our own. And I think the inability to consider that truth is the one inherent problem that you hear called out. And there's never a response that makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
But to me, it goes back to the lack of moral character that a lot of the people that look like us haven't had instilled because of perhaps the shitty hands that systematic oppression has dealt them.
It's dealt?
Taking the man out the household, for example.
Yeah, it's usually the number one reasoning.
In my opinion, right? So like you know, I mean, but I think about it like this: if you have a single black woman, as strong as she needs to be to raise those children to the best that she can, depending upon her ability to be able to do that, but also depending upon the child's innate ability to want to do good, right? Depending on those two structures, the environment that they're in, you just get random variances in how equipped in life that they'll end up being, right? Does that make any sense?
No, it makes sense. I mean, but here's, at the end of the day, you have to play with the cards you've been dealt, right? So if you think of it, whatever cards you've been dealt in life are the cards you've got to use. And you have to use them to the best of your ability.
That's the part.
Right. So that's
using it to the best of your ability.
Exactly. That's the part. Key.
Not always blaming the man. Who's the man? This is America. I think there's a lot of people that until you visit places outside of America, you don't really understand how good this shit is. You don't really understand.
But good doesn't mean it can't be better.
No, it doesn't mean that. Okay. And I'm not saying like everyone has been given a random roll of the die, depending upon whose vagina you came out of. Okay. It's going to be the circumstance that you. And there's some people that are born on the easy, difficult level setting, and there's some people that are extreme Dark Souls 3 difficulty level setting. You see what I'm saying?
Gosh, yeah.
And there's just everything in between. Now you get people that are born on that extreme difficulty level setting that do amazing things. Yeah. Right. You get people that are born in that easy difficulty level setting that end up being shitheads, right? And everything in between.
Okay.
But you live in America where you have the ability to do what you can with the information that is provided to you.
Yes.
As opposed to growing up in a Thailand and whatever you're born in, or like in India, a caste system.
The caste
whatever
system,
you're born into,
that's just what it is.
It's just what it is, and there's no room for growth. There's no room for going anywhere with what it is. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, it depends what you do with it, and not blaming other people. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No. And like not blaming anyone else for your circumstance. It's understanding where your deficiencies might be, whether it be economic, right? Like, whether it be having strong people in the household to guide you, mentors, what have you. But I understand, growing up in the hood, like you just want to do like enough to survive, and if you have to worry about food, right? Like you're not gonna be worried about getting a mentor, right? You gotta on that Maslow's.
You're like, I gotta find a place to lay my head tonight.
Yeah, like bump going to school. Yeah. I gotta eat well, right? Like so, I get it, and it's a lot of people that are at a difficulty setting that it's too much, and I get that, but there's this little nozzle in between of people who blame everyone else for their problems. And I can't stand that. I can't.
Oh, agreed. You cannot constantly look out.
Yeah.
And say you this, and not take a minute to say, what can I do?
Yeah.
To better the situation that I'm in? What can I give to the situation around me that would help. So yeah, you can't constantly look out. You do have to look in at some things.
Yeah.
For some people, that's just hard to do, unfortunately, because of whatever situation they may be in. It's hard to see within when everything that you're looking at on the outside might be crap.
I think it has to also do with maturity.
Yeah.
I think very mature people can look within. Intellectually immature people often blame everyone else for their problems. This is the person that's at work that always seems to get into fights with everyone that they work with. Maybe it's something that you're doing. Maybe it's something about your attitude. Maybe it's how you talk to people. Maybe it's how you don't talk to people. Right? Like, why do you keep getting this brand when you go places? And I think it takes a really mature person to take a step back and say,
what's the constant here?
Yeah, what's the constant? How did we get here yet again?
Yet again. I'm in a different place, but
yet again.
Same outcome.
If you're constantly finding yourself in debt, credit card debt. What do you think? What do you think led you? You know what I'm saying? Like,
card number 3.
Yeah, and we all have impulses. We all have gut instincts.
Yeah. And
I feel like a really mature person understands that a part of their gut or how they initially want to react to something is not a logical way to live life, and often just going off of your gut instinct and your initial response to something. This is why I tell people, like, I mentor, like young men that I work with, the difference between reacting to a situation and responding to a situation.
Okay.
If someone rubs you the wrong way initially,
right,
and you just fire back at them, that's a reaction.
That's a reaction.
That's not something that you should ever do, in my opinion. And I still struggle with this too.
Okay.
Right? Like, I still struggle with it. But I go back, I think, right, you get out that initial gut feeling, emotional state, and you bring yourself back into logic.
To the response.
To the response.
Yeah.
And the response is going to involve strategy. It's going to involve talking to other people that have experienced that particular situation.
Okay.
And then you are now in control. Now you have the ability to rewrite what you would have done in that reaction, which would have led to that failure or that outcome that you didn't necessarily want.
Got it.
What are we talking about, by the way? We're just
apparently not what I thought we were going to talk about, but you know what? Listen, we're just going to give you what we got here.
Whatever.
It's flowing. It's just flowing.
It's just flowing. You know what I'm saying?
So there's this saying, so I coach, and one of the speakers that came in to speak to us as coaches talked about your response to things, right? So I can't control the outcome of something. And I think a lot of people try to control outcomes when really all you can control is the response.
Yeah.
That will get you to the outcome. So you have an event, it's E plus R equals O. Event, response, outcome. Right? And
I like frameworks. Keep going.
The event, and mind you, this is not my strategy, but the event, let's just say, is you're at a party, and the event is someone comes up to you and says something completely out of pocket, where you're like, did you really? Is that what?
Hey, yo, bitch! Something like that.
See?
To a man or a woman.
Right,
like,
and then you're like, okay, what outcome would I prefer here? A good outcome or not so great outcome? Well, how you get there is the response you take. So what you were saying, I could react and New York come out of me real quick. Excuse me, where we...
and you get a pocket, right?
Or you can respond, and that could be two different things. Responding could be just removing yourself from a situation. You don't even have to speak. Silence can sometimes be golden. So it could be removing yourself from a situation. Or there are times where I've been in situations and I will respond with, I don't appreciate the way you just spoke to me. And then I'm done. I'm good.
Right.
That sometimes is more powerful than, going off on somebody.
It's to me, it's always more powerful. I think a measured response will always have you in the upper hand,
right?
Because fact of the matter is that person that said, "Hey, yo, bitch," is trying to move you, right? They're trying to get you off your center.
They're trying to get a reaction.
They're trying to get a reaction. They're trying to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah.
In a way that, and oftentimes it could just be them projecting their own hate from themselves onto you. Let me give you a quick short story.
Okay.
I was on the bus the other day. I was on the way to go. I take the bus to work because it's right down the block. But anyway, I was going to the supermarket because it's relatively close to me. I was getting and there was this old lady. And the old lady had a walker.
Okay.
And when I say old, she wasn't really old. She was like 50 something, but she looked old because she was overweight and this, that, and the third. But anyway, so she has the walker. She's getting on and she's like limping and she's taking her time. I'm behind her. She hits the pass and then she's going to the back of the bus. I hit the pass and I look up towards the back of the bus and she's stuck. Because on the right side of that bus, there's this woman has a baby stroller, and on the left side of this bus is a man that's in a wheelchair. So the obese woman in the walker can't get past. And I'm looking at the situation, and I just mosey on past. I go to the back of the bus and I sit my ass down. Anyway, on the way of me going to the back of the bus, the lady in the walker was like making these like faces and these snide remarks to the lady to the right that was sitting down with the stroller, and was like, and like kind of slammed her walker up against the bus. She was doing it in a way that was super passive aggressive, but she was trying to get a reaction out the woman. Yeah. And as soon as I was in the back of the bus, sure enough, the woman in the they started going back and forth, popping off, and the woman was like, and the lady, with the baby stroller was. There was nowhere that she can go, but she was like being attentive to a woman in a walker, like thinking like, what can I do in order to move out your way that you can be more comfortable? Right. But the woman in the walker just she just started being passive aggressive and doing all like slamming her walker up against the wall and sucking her teeth. It was gross. But so from the time that I got on that bus to the time that I went to the supermarket, they were at each other, yap.
The whole time?
The entire time. And I mean, it got to the point where the woman in the stroller, well, her baby sitting down there was talking about I could have this, that, and the third, like, come up here. And it was gross. Anyway, it was gross. But the lady in the walker got the reaction that she wanted. And so here's how the story ends. I walked into the supermarket, and the lady with the baby stroller was there. And I said to myself, should I go up and say something to her? I ended up talking to her real quick. And I came up to her, and the first thing I said is that, listen, you were initially in the right. Where you went wrong is that you played directly into her hand. You reacted exactly how she wanted you to react. I said, listen, she's projecting the hate that she has of her current situation, having a walker, being incredibly overweight, perhaps being old, right, and being slow onto you. It has nothing to do with you, right? And a woman with the stroller was like, yeah, but she was doing all, she was making it to my baby, and I was like, well, it doesn't matter, because also your baby, you're setting an example for your toddler, right? You're setting that example, and I think that's why I mostly was like trying to talk to her, is because whatever the toddler sees is going to be what is mimicked. Right, absolutely. In the future. But I say all that. The event was the bus. We're going back to your framework. There you go. Was the bus, and then the lady being passive aggressive. The response was the reaction. It was just in the moment rage. Yeah. And then the outcome ended up being, people that look just like us arguing. Yeah. And it didn't need to be that way. I think that if it was much more of a measured response of either just ignoring the lady and what the situation is, or like let her project hate for herself onto you and you just move to the back of the bus or what have you, I think that there's other ways that there could have been a conclusion where both felt like they were winning. And a lot of it's it's your ego. You feel like people are undercutting your ego. It is a lot about ego. Yeah. It's for some people. I'm a work in progress. Sometimes it's just hard to swallow your pride and just say, you know what, this is just not worth it. Today it's just not worth it. There are some situations though that maybe it is worth you having not necessarily an argument but a conversation and hopefully helping somebody understand
your perspective and you trying to understand somebody else's perspective. I think that's a big thing, that people don't understand each other's perspective. Mm-hmm. So however you see something and however I see something could be completely different, but it doesn't mean he's right or I'm right. It just means we have different perspectives. So taking the time to listen, to truly listen to someone and hear them and say, oh, okay, I can understand how you got there.
Yeah.
Or again, vice versa, just being like, listen, I'm trying to get through and both of you are impeding my path here. So how can we figure this out? Or how it happened there where it was just like,
yeah.
It's not good for anybody.
Yeah, it's never the best. You can never get the best outcome in reacting in a situation like that.
Right.
And then oftentimes, like, there was nothing really at stake there. People react in environments where there's shit at stake. You can react in an environment, and then sometimes, no matter the response or the reaction, maybe the outcome's still gonna be bad, and there's just nothing that you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it.
Can't control the outcome. Remember, you can only control the response.
But you can hopefully
right.
guide the outcome that you want to happen.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, if it was the same type of situation, but you're at your working environment, well, someone might get fired.
True.
Someone might get fired, you know, and then there's bigger things at stake. So then you have to think, like, is the juice really worth the rub? Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. So all right. We, man.
I don't know what we started with.
I don't know what to call this. I'm just going to throw it up there. I'll probably put, like, the visual podcast or, like, something like that. Like, and we just talking about whatever.
We're just talking about whatever. Yeah.
We absolutely are. We did no intro.
We didn't do an intro. I think that's what we were.
All right, how about this? I'm going to stop the video and then we're going to do the original video. I'm going to sign off though, because I didn't slap these motherfuckers. Hold on a second.
Sign off.
I'm going to sign off right now. This is the Visual Podcast. I have mediocre tutorials and reviews. This is Siobhan. She's cool as shit. All right, let me sign off.